Voting is a civic duty. Let's register on the electoral list. This is a message from Equinoxe Television.
Good evening to all of you, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for the news on Equinoxe Television. Thank you so much for being with us tonight. Our major stories this evening. It has been a gloomy day today as Cameroonian journalists from far and near mourn the passing into glory of a veteran journalist, Suzan Kalalu, who was noted for her unique style of dressing and critical mind. Suzan's death was announced in the early hours of today. We bring to you several reactions and memories of the veteran journalist in this edition of the news. And exactly 1 month to school resumption, preparations have already begun, though timidly somehow. We made stops at some markets here in the economic capital Douala, where early birds we met say they are avoiding the usual last-minute rush. Those are our top stories. Details when we go back. Welcome back, viewers. Thank you so much for the confidence. Cameroonians and also journalists have been mourning the passing into glory of veteran journalist Suzan Kalalu. Suzan Kalalu had an outstanding journalism professional career that came to the limelight at the very early stage in 1992 within the La Nouvelle Expression media and subsequently Equinoxe Television. Suzan Kalalu left an indelible mark, especially on her ease to analyze political affairs. She was also an author and publisher. For me, Armstrong Sander now tells us more about the passing away of the veteran journalist.
C'est quoi la liberté d'expression? Est-ce que la liberté d'expression, c'est dire ce que je veux, quand je veux, comme je veux et...
Renowned for her tough stance and critical analysis, Suzan Kalalu was known as a committed and outstanding journalist.
Je crois que Maître Bami pratique la langue de bois.
Her ease in analyzing political affairs came to the limelight even at the early stage of her career in the 1992 at the La Nouvelle Expression Media Group. A remarkable adventure that became outstanding thanks to her distinguished editorials, among which was one titled "My Candidate Will Be a Woman," published in the heat of the 1992 presidential elections in Cameroon. Multitasking as a journalist, presenter and an editorialist, Suzan Kalalu left an indelible mark on flagship programs like Droit de Réponse on Equinoxe Television, where she served for many years as consultant.
D'accord, c'est pas une question de femme. Est-ce que vous allez supprimer les mariages forcés?
Suzan Kalalu was also outstanding in special programs like VAT, dedicated to the 2011 presidential elections in Cameroon.
Pas forcé, madame. Donc vous allez supprimer et les rites de veuvage?
Suzan Kalalu was also fascinated by music and literature, as resounded on radio programs like Polemos and Livre Noir on Equinoxe Radio. Militant, politically active as well, she was a member of the UPC political party in Cameroon. The editorialist and renowned journalist was also a writer and author of books like Chronique sur le Manguier and Supermarket. She was also a publisher with a rich curriculum vitae that saw her being appointed as member of the National Communications Council in Cameroon.
Now let's listen to the CEO of Equinoxe Television, Mr. Severin Chunke, who had a close working and cordial relationship with Suzan Kalalu.
We met when I was student in France. I met her in a metro station called Luxembourg. She was sending a newspaper called Cameroon with K. This newspaper was the UPC newspaper. The day that I met her, she was with Gusta Epania. They were sending the newspaper, and we start talking. about Cameroon. And Suzan Kalalu and I start a long relationship, a long friendship until she passed away today. She was a great collaborator. She worked in La Nouvelle Expression as journalist. After that, she worked in Radio Equinoxe and Equinoxe television. You remember her hair and her way of dressing. She was a powerful journalist. Sometimes speak with hard conviction. I would not agree this last time with her due to the appreciation that he made about the way to govern our country. We have some divergence, but she remained a good friend of mine.
Thank you. May her soul rest in peace. Now we talk something else. School proprietors and teachers have been warned to desist from selling textbooks and other manuals on campus or risk facing the law. The call was made during the National Assembly of Booksellers in Cameroon. 1 month to school reopening, the booksellers urged education authorities to take stringent measures that will enable, curb the activity and equally boost sales. Immaculate Fogui has more. We come back to this report by Immaculate Fogui. She tells us that school proprietors and teachers have been warned to desist from selling textbooks and other manuals on campuses or risk facing the law. The call was made during the National Assembly of Booksellers in the country, and that is 1 month to school resumption. The booksellers urged education authorities to take stringent measures that will enable, curb the activity and equally boost the sales of textbooks.
Despite the existence of laws prohibiting the sale of textbooks and other manuals in schools, the activity continues to surge in Cameroon. Many parents say they have been forced to buy textbooks at exorbitant rates from schools or sent to specific shops to get them. The law is very clear. Any school proprietor or teacher caught selling textbooks to students or pupils will be arrested and given a jail sentence of 1 to 5 years and a fine of 1 to 5 million francs CFA to be paid. Owners of bookshops express grave concerns over government's inability to stop the unfair trading practice. According to them, the situation has greatly affected their businesses. These teachers and proprietors go about manipulating parents to buy their books, which are not even on the official list released by the ministry. If they continue selling to students, how then do we manage to feed our families? Their job is to teach, and ours is to sell textbooks. These plights were raised during the General Assembly of Booksellers in the city of Douala. They equally announced that the price of textbooks have noticed a slight decrease this year. We have listened to the cry of parents, so we have decided to reduce the cost of some textbooks. A lot of textbooks haven't changed this year, and they are all available in our bookshops. 1 month to school reopening, owners of bookshops and publishers are urging education authorities to sit up and equally apply stringent measures in order to curb the practice of the sale of textbooks in schools.
Over to Loum in the Mongo division of the Littoral region, it is practically difficult to access the 2 major roads leading to the town. This is due to the dilapidated state of the roads, which have worsened during the period of the rainy season. However, the mayor of Loum, Guy Wambu, says lack of finances and also decentralization are dominant factors hindering the rehabilitation of most major roads in Loum. Lucy Liengu Esie takes us to Loum in the Mongo division.
Applying the major roads leading into the town of Loum in the Mongo division is an ordeal for road users.
Ouais, voilà la route. Il n'y a pas de route à Loum. Il n'y a pas de route. Quand il pleut,
This is due to the poor state of the roads, which consist of potholes, cracks, mud, and even poor drainage systems. The inhabitants of Loum complain moving from one neighborhood to another is a daunting task, and most times they are involved in road accidents. Worst is during the rainy season, when these roads become impassable. Residents face difficulties commuting to work, schools, and markets. As a result of this, transportation fare has increased. It is more dangerous as pregnant women patients suffer to access healthcare facilities. While the population call on authorities of the Loum Council for a solution, the mayor of Loum, Guy Wambo, raises the problem of decentralization, which to him is not a reality, and also lack of finance to rehabilitate the roads. There is an issue with decentralization, and it is not our fault. Most councils today have a weak revenue, thus it is impossible for councils to maintain accessible roads. However, the population of Loum continue to re-echo calls for authorities to help rehabilitate the roads to better their living conditions.
And for the past few days, it has been raining continuously in the economic capital Douala, and the rains have been negatively affecting business activities here in the economic capital. Business persons we spoke to say their turnover has relatively dropped. For me, Armstrong Sander went to some markets here in Douala.
Under a heavy downpour, 30 years old Omario, a mobile vendor, is fighting hard to protect his goods from the rain. Dressed in a raincoat and plastic shoes, Omario says the fight to keep his goods safe from the rains has become a daily routine. For the past 3 weeks, Douala city dwellers have been battling with a sustained rainfall. Omario says the repeated rains are having a devastating impact on their economic activities, no doubt, but many like him are not willing to give up. Vendors like him are not the only ones braving the rains, but some determined buyers too, he says. Like Omario, Kamya Tonya, a medical student on holidays, is another vendor we met in the street of Douala. With the back-to-school fast approaching, she has opted to sell water bottles. She says hawking within this heavy rainy season in Douala is not for the less brave. Most times, they are chased away from sheds and verandas of shops when it rains in the market, she reveals. The situation is even worse in food markets, where foodstuffs like here are displayed barely on the ground, and in most places mixed with runoffs from different parts of the city.
The United Nations Security Council unanimously lifted an arms embargo on the Central African Republic that was recently. And in Nigeria, Nigerians continue to organize nationwide protests this week that is against high cost of living in that country. Details of those stories and more with Cedric Chakucho.
Nigerians are organizing nationwide protests this week to address the most severe cost of life crisis the country has faced in decades. With significant support building on social media platforms, authorities are apprehensive about a potential recurrence of the fatal demonstrations against police brutality that occurred in 2020 in this West African nation, or the possibility of unrest akin to the recent protest in Kenya, which erupted in chaos in the capital Nairobi following a tax increase. Nigerian President Bola Tinubu's government is committed to avoiding this situation. Local media reported on Tuesday that the organizers of the planned protest, in response to escalating economic hardship on Thursday, have rejected a proposal from Nigeria's police to hold rallies in confined spaces. Elsewhere, a court in Guinea sentenced former military ruler Moussa Dadis Camara to 20 years in prison after finding him guilty of crimes against humanity. The charges stem from the 2009 massacre of more than 150 people during a pro-democracy rally in the capital Conakry. More than 100 survivors and relatives of victims testified in the trial that started in November 2022. The court said the charges, which included murder, rape, torture and kidnapping, had been reclassified to crimes against humanity. 7 other accused military commanders were found guilty of the same crimes in the high-profile trial. 4 others were acquitted. Camara left the country after surviving an assassination attempt not long after the massacre. Bert returned from exile in September 2022 to face justice. And in the Central African Republic, the United Nations Security Council unanimously lifted an armed embargo in the country. It was imposed in 2013 when mainly Muslim rebels ousted the then president Francois Bozize, prompting reprisals from mostly Christian militants. The sanctions were already watered down last year when the council agreed to exempt government forces from the embargo. Central African Republic Foreign Minister Sylvie Biapo Temon described the decision as an historic and crucial turning point for peace and stability, not only for the country but also for the region.
We now talk sports. Words of encouragement have been sent to Cameroon's Rachel Anita Sopimbela ahead of her debut at the Olympic Games against Sone Akira of Japan in the judo discipline that would be tomorrow. The other African athletes at the Olympic Games have been having some difficulties. Simanjikan Gabriel tells us more in the report. This comes up next.
National Junior Judo Team sends their support to Rachel Anita Sopimbela, who will be Cameroon's next competitor at the Olympic Games. The 34-year-old judoka will be taking on the Japanese Sone Akira in the more than 78-kilogram judo bout this Friday. The opponent of Rachel Anita Sopimbela, Sone Akira, is a one-time Olympics champion in the same discipline. Reason why the defending African champion in the more than 78 kilograms, Rachel Anita Sopimbela, has been preparing hard ahead of her preliminary fight. Even though it is her first participation at an Olympic Games, all eyes are on the flag bearer to deliver a medal in her discipline. This far, apart from South Africa's Tatjana Smith, who got Africa's first gold medal, the games haven't been good to some athletes. Nigeria's Favour Ofeli will not compete in the women's 100 meters. Despite her qualification to the next round, she misses out on the event due to not being registered by the Athletics Federation of Nigeria. In swimming, Nigeria's Tobi Sikwade misses out on the next round of the men's 50 meters freestyle after coming in the 3rd position in his heat. In basketball, South Sudan couldn't get the magic done in front of a bigger opponent, the United States of America, in their second outing at the competition. The Greenhorns at the Olympic Games bowed down to the mighty USA basketball team by 86 to 103 points. In football, Africa will not be represented in the women's discipline as the competition unfolds at the Olympic Games in Paris. The 2 representatives, Zambia and Nigeria, were booted out of the football tournament after recording defeat in their final games. The Super Falcons lost 1-3 to Japan, while Zambia was hammered 1-4 by Germany. All 2 sides left the tournament without points collected.
And for some reasons beyond our control, we won't be having talking point tonight. Let's take the rendezvous or appointment for tomorrow. Viewers, thank you so much for always being with us. Thank you for the confidence. Don't go away. Our programs continue. Equinoxe as from 7 p.m. live from Yaoundé with Guy Zogo, and the news in the French language comes up at 8 p.m. with Iris Gonomala. Stay with us on Equinoxe Television. Bye-bye for now.